Hi there, greetings and salutations on a Colts victory week. My name is Jake Query, that is Derek Schultz, and it is the incredibly creatively and appropriately named Query and Schultz program, charitably award-winning here on the ISC Sports Network. This is what number episode, Derek?
212, right?
Oh, New York, right?
New York, yeah.
New York, baby.
Yeah.
All right, so your favorite New York athlete.
My dad's phone number.
What's that?
My dad's phone number in the Viacom building, which is the MTV building, was 212-258-8058.
Okay, that's cool.
You remember when you had to memorize numbers?
Oh, yeah.
That was my dad's work number in the 90s. Yep. 212-258-8058.
Who's your all-time favorite New York athlete?
Patrick Ewing.
Okay.
The greatest. Patrick Ewing. Hit a game-winning shot in Game 5 that extended the series, so was clutch earlier in the series.
Too bad you needed 4, right?
Yeah. Reggie Miller missed 2 free throws in the 94 series that really cost them, that nobody talks about. But, yeah, it happens.
Too bad you need 4. Derek, reality is this, and thank you to everybody for tuning in here and watching, listening, whatever it may be, downloading. Big win for the Colts, and finally. Now, this is not – and I think we need to be careful here.
Mm-hmm.
The immediate knee-jerk reaction is Anthony Richardson has arrived. It certainly beats the alternative, and he was really, really good in that game against the New York Jets, in particular late. His passing accuracy was dialed in. You have to now, I guess, proceed cautiously to not automatically think that bada boom, bada bing, finished product, let's go. But it certainly was promising.
It was the first step, I think, right? It was really the first step forward that he took this year. We talked about it on the show. We needed to see more from Anthony Richardson than just a play, a throw, a series, a quarter. We needed a game. And for the first time this year, and really even going back to his rookie season, this was the best game that Anthony Richardson has played. He had his 2 best drives of his entire career, the penultimate drive in the fourth quarter and then the game-winning drive. I mean, he took him down the 70 yards on the dot, took him down the field in 7-8 plays, both drives. Extremely impressive. And I think if we are going to give the Colts the benefit of the doubt, look, they went to Joe Flacco and they said that he's a win-now guy. He wasn't a win-now guy. They were terrible the last 2 weeks. That blew up in his face. So I'm very hesitant to throw too many flowers at the Colts' feet for this. But if this benching was the deep breath that not only Anthony Richardson needed, but the Colts needed too, to recalibrate and figure out, okay, something's not right here. You got to get right. We got to get right. Let's do this together. Then great. Then wonderful. I hope that what we saw on Sunday was a sign of things to come, because so much of the focus was on Richardson's shortcomings. He's not doing this. He's not a leader. He's not in the room as early as we want him to be. But the fact is, Jake, the Colts didn't do him any favors this year, okay?
Correct.
Shane Steichen and the way that this offense was catered to him, it wasn't catered to him at all. I think that was the big problem. So I don't want all of the blame to just fall on Richardson for why this thing didn't work through the first, whatever it was, 8, 9, 10 games. It was equally part Richardson, who wasn't playing well, and part the Colts, who weren't putting him in the best position to succeed. But on Sunday, those two things aligned, and they put him in the best position to succeed.
This is what I said, and people were like, duh, Mr. Obvious. I'm like, that's kind of the point. But I had posted early in the game like, gee, maybe it's better to come up with a game plan that caters to Anthony Richardson as opposed to waiting for Anthony Richardson to cater to your game plan.
Yeah.
Right? And the way that they did that, I thought it was interesting in the first half of that game. They refused to throw the ball on third down. 3rd and 12, they're handing off to Jonathan Taylor, or they're doing a design run for Anthony Richardson. And you think to yourself, quit forcing this, but then you go, wait a minute. By having the run established and utilizing the run with Anthony Richardson and basically taking off the training wheels and saying, to use your term, Derek, we're going to take the bubble wrap off of him, right, and let him go. What you did then was you magnetized the defense of the Jets up to the line because they had to load up against the run, and then you're opening things up for guys to be free across the middle and allow Richardson to start hitting the layups, right? And you could see his confidence go with the throws that he was making, and at times going through progression, not just the first receiver, but he was doing the things that you want a quarterback to do. But that was facilitated, I think. Kudos and credit to the Colts coaching staff for coming up with a game plan that I think finally allowed him to flourish as opposed to kind of forcing things on him that he wasn't ready for.
Yeah, have him throw on the move a little bit. Design runs. He had 10 design runs. Take the kid's gloves off. They've babied him. They babied him, and that's why the tap-out happened. I'm convinced part of the reason for the tap-out was because Richardson doesn't know any better because he's been coddled by the organization.
That's right.
So why wouldn't you tap out? Hey, I'm tired. I'm going to come out. Okay, this organization's been cool with everything else that I've done. But, Jake, Jonathan Taylor had, 24 carries for like 54 yards? That couldn't have possibly been their game plan, right? If you would have handed a sheet of paper to Shane Steichen and said, hey, this is what Jonathan Taylor's going to do in this game, you think the Jets win by 2 touchdowns. So, yeah, I agree with you. They did things in the game plan that worked, but I don't think they were planning to put it on Richardson's arm at the end of the game.
No.
But they had to put it on Richardson's arm, and it worked.
Derek, let me tell you what I mentioned yesterday on the radio. In the late Sunday afternoon, the Buffalo Bills and Kansas City Chiefs are playing in Buffalo, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Buffalo Bills are leading by 2 points inside of 3 minutes left, and they have a 4th and 2 in Kansas City territory. They don't kick a field goal. They go for it on 4th and 2. They have the lead and the ball. They can go for a field goal, and they can add to their lead. But they're looking across the sideline, and they see Patrick Mahomes standing there, and they look at the clock, and they go, yeah, 5 isn't good enough. This guy's going to come down and score and beat us. And as I'm watching that, I'm thinking to myself, 3 hours ago, I sat and watched when Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets had a 4th and 2 inside of 3 minutes left, 2:41, I think, and Rodgers is saying, let's go for it. Quarterback is always going to say that. And the coaches of the Jets look across the sidelines to see Anthony Richardson, and they go, yeah, we're cool. Let's kick a field goal, go up 5. What are the odds this team's going to come down and score? They disrespected Anthony Richardson. They respected Patrick Mahomes, understandably, because of precedent. Richardson in that situation then, and you could tell his first couple of throws, you're like, whoa, on a rope, right? And they went right down the field. And then he ends up scoring the touchdown.
First play to Pierce. First play to Pierce, basically the Colts went from maybe like a 50% win probability to like 80%.
Right.
Because at that point, you're at what, the Jets' 25-yard line with a minute 30 left. You're in like Flynn. They were in a great spot there. But, everything across the board, Jake, it was career high in completions with 20. We were talking about, man, could he get to like 14 or 15?
Right.
Like the bar was so low for Richardson. 66% completion percentage, which is crazy considering what his number was, like 45, I think, going to 44.
Here's another thing that game proved. And to your point, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off on
that's
the numbers, but the other thing that game proved, the New York Jets have a good roster.
Yeah.
They have a quarterback that is it's over.
Yeah,
right?
it's cooked. Yeah.
Thank the Lord that the Colts finally got away from that game plan.
Yeah.
Because, look at the Jets. Yeah. The Jets took a roll of the dice with Aaron Rodgers. He got hurt last year, and then he comes back this year, and he's been a great player, don't get me wrong, but it's over. And so now you're the Jets, and you're like, well, now what?
Yeah, I was trying to think of like what an apt comparison to the Jets would be. It's almost like an NBA team that has it's almost like IU basketball previously, where you had talent, there was no cohesion. Like Garrett Wilson and Quentin Williams and Breece Hall. These guys are really good. Like they've got really good talent. It's just you go out there and it doesn't make any sense. They scored 27 points, which was a season high. Colts defense was terrible. They're very fortunate that Richardson played so well, because I thought the defense really from like the 3-minute mark of the second half on was awful. Really, really bad. The Jets did whatever they wanted, and they were fortunate to win that game. But somebody else, Jake, and this is a group of people that I think we have to give some credit towards. We've really hit on this position group over and over on this show. Wide receiver, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. Michael Pittman's hurt. And so that kind of casts a shadow over it overall. But Josh Downs' emergence as the go-to guy, as at worst, like your best number 2, and that has allowed Alec Pierce to settle into this role as home run hitter. Throw it up to me. I'm going to have 2 catches for 81 yards today.
You're right.
Great. That's exactly, Alec Pierce is probably nothing more than that, but that's fine. That's wonderful to have somebody like that in your offense. It's wonderful if you're a baseball team. I'm going to make another sports analogy. If you're a baseball team, it's wonderful to have a guy on your bench that hit 30 homers.
Adam
and
Dunn.
Then you can pinch hit at any time, and get him up there, and he can go yachts anytime.
Now, Derek, they desperately need a tight end.
Yeah, the tight end room stinks. Yeah, tight end room stinks.
This is a good point about the tight ends that Jimmy Cook made. They have 4 tight ends that would all make a roster somewhere, but none would start. Right?
I'm not even sure how many of them would be TE2s, honestly.
You think so?
I think you've got a bunch of third. I think Mo Alley Cox is basically a blocking tight end, right? And pretty good. I think all those guys are level 3 level guys. Yeah.
But they need desperately a tight end. Can you imagine? And I know that, but if they had Bowers.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. And Latu's been really good. Like, I want to give him some credit. He was great, again, on Sunday. I know on paper it doesn't look like Latu has done a lot, but you watch him play and you're like, this guy's legit.
Yeah, he's good.
He's already and Pay had 2 sacks on that last kind of garbagey time drive, but he already is a better pass rusher than Kwity Paye.
Right.
Already. And Pay's going to be in the league for 12, 15. Like I said, I think I said this early on one of the earliest shows. Pay's Yannick Ngakoue, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll just keep having 9, 10 sack seasons. He'll be pretty good. He'll probably bounce around at different teams, and he's fine. He's a perfectly fine NFL player, but he doesn't keep anybody up at night.
Speaking of Yannick Ngakoue, who is the player?
Or was it Yannick? Remember he kind of changed it halfway through the season, like Antoine Bethea?
Who was the player that I used to say when we were doing the radio show, he's not your, he's our. Kind of like Yannick Ngakoue.
Yeah. And it was a play on his name.
Yes.
Yeah,
his name started with our something. Who was it?
I don't remember.
Can you think of it?
I will try.
It's been keeping me up for a week.
Yeah. I will try to do that.
Can somebody let me know that? Somebody that's been a follower of this show for a while. I used to say, he's not he's not your, he's our.
Yeah. I don't remember. Something else? Somebody else to give some credit to? How about Matt Gay?
Yeah. And you know what? And Chris Ballard, because I was hard on Chris Ballard and mocked him when Matt Gay was missing kicks. And I'm like, you gave this guy $5 million or whatever it was.
He's bounced back.
And now that he's healthy, I mean,
and again,
solid. A 56-yarder with no problem.
You know me, Jake. I'm a process guy over a result guy. I think because good process often yields good result, even though sometimes bad process yields good result. The Colts were very lucky defensively that they survived that game to win, but they were also very lucky. That sequence where I think it was a 3rd and 12, 3rd and 11, and Steichen ran to set up a 56-yard field goal for Gay.
Right.
They are very fortunate that Gay hit that kick. I mean, that was to me, I thought that play call was, you've got Anthony Richardson who could pick up 7-8 yards in his sleep.
Right.
If you put him on a quarterback run or do something short or whatever else. And I thought that was bad process, good result, but that was a hugely crucial kick.
Speaking of bad process, good result. It is not a fun process, but last time that we were together, I was beginning the process for my colonoscopy, right?
Where are we going with it? We're celebrating a Colts win and Anthony Richardson.
I wanted to let people know because I think it's an important men's subject to make sure that, especially if you're over 40.
Yep, you're right.
So I went through the process.
Issues on this show.
I went through the process, and then
they blew you out.
They did.
Yep.
Did the colonoscopy, which was the simplest procedure ever. It was kind of weird.
Yeah.
My buddy Rob Lynch drove me in.
Did you take the sedation like I recommended? Remember you said they offered you sedation. You're like,
Well, I mean, I did do, yeah. So, but I said I want the minute, and they said, okay, we'll just keep you comfortable, and literally, I remember I laid on my side, and then the next thing I knew, they're like, okay, you're ready to go, and it wore off instantly.
Okay.
Now, good news is good result, everything A-okay. But Derek, I know that you are a fan of showing the photo of you with the Chateau Kitchens with the finished product, right?
Well, I'm a fan of showing the shower.
Yeah, that's
and the basement.
But you always show yourself naked.
I'm showing the basement and the shower.
Right
that's
here.
all. Okay,
I thought you'd want to see.
Yeah,
here's my colon. Look how clean that is. Okay, there it is. Now I have over here somewhere diverticulitis that you can kind of see, so you can see the small little pocket. I think that's the diverticulitis right there. Diverticulosis right there. But look at how isn't that beautiful? That's the fully cleaned out and healthy colon right
great
there.
That's great. It's very
right
great
behind
you have a healthy colon.
No,
it's wonderful.
Don't you want to look though? Aren't you proud of that? Look how pristine that is.
I'm glad. I can kind of see it in my periphery because we've got this 4-chambered monitor up here,
right
so
up
I
there.
can see. what looks like a healthy colon. But yeah, there we go. This is what we want to see. Yeah, that's a very healthy colon right there.
These actually look very similar to one another. Your photo and my colon photo look similar.
I've actually bulked up a little bit since that photo. We need to do an updated photo.
You said that I look like I lost weight.
Yeah, I thought you did. I walked in today. I was like, have you lost a little bit?
3.4 pounds from the colonoscopy
There you go,
cleanse.
Yeah. Got all that spackle off of the sides of the walls there. It's gross, man, to think about that. All that dead stuff in there.
I think it's mostly water weight.
I heard you guys say on the radio show that people could lose up to 12 pounds with a colonoscopy, which is just insane.
What kind of lifestyle you leading where a colonoscopy cleanse sheds 12 pounds out of you?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, if I lost 12 pounds, they would have to, like, probably admit me to the hospital and put me on.
Like, are you eating straight mayonnaise out of the jar?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
If you are man or woman over the age of 40, it is a simple procedure. It's a simple procedure, can be potentially life-saving.
Just do it. It's God forbid you get into a situation where you have colon cancer. It is horrific.
Right.
Horrible. All cancer's bad. Don't get me wrong, but that specifically, if they can catch it early, it's really, really big for sure. Time now from butt stuff to sandwich stuff. Hoagies and Hops, Hoagie and Hero of the Week. Aren't we hungry? Who's hungry?
Oh, I am now.
Brought to you by our friends at Hoagies and Hops, 42nd and Boulevard, southwestern edge of Midtown. This here is
I went
Dutch
there, by the way,
County.
Derek. Picked up a sandwich. I picked up a Zaire and put it in the fridge to have it ready for after my procedure because you're starving, right? And that's the first thing I wanted. Saw several people in there that were, for the first time, going in and enjoying it before the Indiana Butler women's basketball game. And somebody said, like, hey, I saw you in there, whatever else. Such a cool spot, right?
It's the best. Yeah, we actually, James and I walked down there Sunday night because it was still warm enough to walk, which is awesome. I walked him to school today. It's great. I know it's going to be like 20 degrees on Thursday. And it was a great crowd, even without the Eagles crowd, because they had the Thursday night game. It was still a great crowd. This is the Dutch Country. Lebanon bologna, right here. Really good, really tasty. It's kind of like a salam, more than like a bologna. If you like salami, then you'll like that. Munster, a really great, underrated sandwich cheese. The 9-grain beer mustard's got a little kick, doesn't it? Really like that. L&T.
Lettuce and tomato.
Simple.
You know what's simple? You know what is simple and smooth, Derek? The Ark, the New Zealand rice lager. This is fabulous from Chili Water. Right next door, right? Look at that can.
Right next door.
That's a beautiful can.
Chili Water Tap Room.
That's 2 beautiful cans in a row that we've shown, actually, now that we think about it. Look at that.
I mean, honestly,
smooth and clean, right?
Of all the beers we've probably had, I mean, they have their core beers that we rotate in, right? Like One Hop Wonder.
This is really good.
Blood on the Tracks, and then the ones that come back for like the summer, like Santeria and Lima Ranchera.
But that is so
and things
smooth.
like that. We've probably had, I would say, 15 or 16 beers on this show from Chili Water, and I've enjoyed all of them. Even stuff like IPAs, which I don't normally order. I think this is my favorite beer.
It's very good.
The other one that I really, really liked was the Loose Juicy. Really,
this
really
is
good.
Incredibly crisp and clean, right?
It's just a really, and it's
slight
it's
hop
fruity.
to it.
It's, you get the sweetness of that as well. Really good. There were a couple of ways to go with this Hero of the Week. I mean, Matt Gay could be the Hero of the Week. Josh Downs could be the Hero of the Week. You kind of have to give it to Richardson, right? I considered Steichen too, because I do think that for all that we criticized the Colts process with this whole thing and the benching and of Richardson, this yo-yo at quarterback, again, if the result is that Richardson took a step back, the team took a step back, they figured out a way to kind of move forward that was beneficial for both sides, and they benefit, then wonderful, then great. No one is rooting for Shane Steichen or for Anthony Richardson to fail.
Right.
And that's the problem kind of when you get into shows like these or sports talk radio. I get mad and I get critical about things, but it's like how you get mad at your kid. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want him, no, buddy, that's stupid. What are you doing? I don't want him to get in trouble. I want him to succeed, and that's how I feel about the Colts here. But this one, I mean, he had an incredible game. He has all of the ability in the world. If Anthony Richardson fails, it has absolutely nothing to do with his traits. I mean, the guy's an alien. Did you see him, that first touchdown run? I don't even remember who the Jets defensive back was, ran right into him and pinballed off of him.
Oh, I mean
it was crazy. He fell backwards like 7 yards. He's a physical freak, and you can see why the Colts bet on him. Even if it ends up being a losing bet, I would rather bet on somebody like that than bet on, Mac Jones or somebody along those lines.
Right.
I think even if it's a losing bet, I think you can defend the Colts' process on it. But obviously Chris Ballard and some others need the result to hit, because if it doesn't, then you got to.
Yeah, but how long? Else. I mean, realistically, you have to see this for what regularity at what period of time to be able to say.
I like to think that we're back on sort of near what the original timetable was. I'm willing to give the Colts a little bit of a pass. If this Richardson is what we see kind of going forward here this season, then I think you're back to what you were at the beginning of the year, which was, hey, let's give him this year and then into next.
Right.
Honestly. Like, I don't think, if they go on a little bit of a run here, they got the Lions next, which is going to be really tough. But if they finish 10-7 and make the playoffs and Richardson plays well, even if they lose in the first round, I think you just
and the playoff situation looks pretty good for them, because they are sitting right now at 8th, right? But behind that is Miami,
Cincinnati.
They've got the tiebreaker. Cincinnati is all but gone now, right?
I mean, they're not gone, but they lost. That was a big game for them to lose.
Big.
Against the Chargers, so that helped. And everybody else is off the board. I mean, the Titans, the Jaguars, the Jets, they're doner than done.
Right.
It's over for a lot of those teams. Raiders, those teams stink. So the Colts are actually in a really advantageous spot. And you get a lot of bad teams here. I mean, the Giants are terrible. They're going to start their third-string quarterback. They've got the Patriots, who are awful. The Titans are really bad. And you get them at home this time. You get the Jaguars at home this time. I mean, there's 4 right there. That puts you at 9.
I'm trying to see.
Who am I missing? Is it Broncos and Lions, right? Those are your last?
What was their over-under at the beginning of the year?
I think it was 9. But I don't remember. I think it was 9.
I'm gonna look, because I actually, and I don't usually do this, but I did.
Because it was lower than, remember they won 9 games last year.
On it.
Maybe it was 8.5. It was lower than their win total last year, I feel like. I'm like 95% sure.
Now, what happens if I'm trying to click on this and it just boots me right back out?
That just means that the app's crashing. They might be servicing it or something. Go to Google.
No, I want to see what I got on it.
And check. What do you mean what you got on it? I'll do it right now. Colts preseason NFL.
But I want to see what I got, because I put like
win
$5
totals,
down on it.
Vegas. Oh, and you did it on DraftKings?
Mm-hmm.
Here it is. 24-25. The Colts were 8.5.
On DraftKings?
On 8.5, 8.5, 8.5. This is on DraftKings. Is that Caesars, the one that has the lion logo?
Yeah.
They're just showing the logos and then something else that I don't recognize.
The Lions MGM, isn't it?
Oh, MGM. Okay. MGM, DraftKings, and another like trophy logo. Is that FanDuel maybe? That I don't recognize. All had him at 8.5.
Okay.
Season win total. Which I would go just with the finishing schedule here, I would go over. I mean, they'd only have to go 4-2 to go 9-8, right? I think they'll do that with the schedule.
Yeah, the schedule's favorable for sure. They kind of you
I
wonder,
mean, they could beat Detroit. I mean, I don't know. The Colts, this is kind of what they
Derek,
do.
Was the benching a protection from the gauntlet?
No, I know other people have said that too. There's no way, if you're Shane Steichen or any NFL head coach, you know how these guys, they want to win every week. There's no way you would punt 2 games. No way. I don't believe that. I honestly think that their plan was, okay, he's not ready. What can we do? Let's just play Flacco here and do it for the rest of the season and go back to him next year. I think that was the original plan. Reports are that was the original plan. And I don't believe Steichen and the Colts is where they say that Flacco's play had nothing to do with the decision. Don't buy it. Not for 1 second. I think once Flacco was so bad the last 2 weeks, you had no decision to make other than you had to go back to him. You had to go back to Richardson early.
Well, you also had to go back to him because at some point, if you wait too long, it's too far gone.
Yeah, I think there's something to that too. But this idea, Jake, and look, if the Colts win, then really who cares? This idea that, Richardson just got markedly better over 13 days.
Yeah, I mean, come on. He just totally matured in 2 weeks.
But again.
By the way, that's a cool Hoagie and Hops t-shirt down there.
To repeat myself, once again, the black one.
Yeah, why do we not?
To repeat myself once again, if this was the little timeout that Richardson needed and the timeout that the Colts needed to recalibrate and figure things out again and figure out a new path forward after obviously their path to start the 2024 season did not work, then fine. I am all for it. If it breeds success, it breeds success. I'm good with it. I'll give them – I don't know if the Colts have earned the benefit of the doubt, but I will give them the benefit of the doubt.
Like, this is cool. Why do we not have this up on the –
Yeah, it's an XL. We have the white one up.
I know, but
I don't know. You put the black one up. I don't care.
It pops.
Okay, do it. Yeah. We come back on the show.
I mean, look at that. It's a cool looking show.
College hoops, both Indiana and Purdue grab big wins. Hell, Butler got a big win over the weekend as well, for where they were anyway.
We'll talk some college taking football. On a top 10 team, man.
Yeah, we'll talk college football as well. Plenty more to get to. Lots going on this week. Here on Corey and Schultz, episode 212, here on the ISC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
Tonight.
You know we cover all sports in Central Indiana. Hop in. It's going to be a long night.
Bailey & Wood Mortgage Lender, proud partner of News 8 Sports Hummer.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap. Duh!
Bailey & Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Welcome back. Bailey & Wood presents Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network, alongside Jake Query. I'm Derek Schultz. Hi. Our friends at Bailey & Wood Financial Group, 855-350-HOME, BAWFG.com, the proud presenting sponsors of this show. We'll take care of you, whether you're looking to refinance your mortgage, maybe you locked into one of those ridiculous rates like 7.6% or whatever it topped out as, I don't even remember. Maybe you want to get your pre-approval for your mortgage and you're a first-time home buyer. Go ahead and do that through our friends at Bailey & Wood Financial Group, 855-350-HOME, BAWFG.com. Branch locations all across this great state of Indiana, and 5-star customer service for Mike Wood and his team who were at the Dolphins game.
Great dude.
Got to see the Dolphins win.
Just a cool guy, man.
Yeah.
Meet him
Mike's
one
the
time,
best.
you feel like you've known him your whole life.
Absolutely. Do you want to start? Let's start college hoops, because we talk college football a lot. Very, very impressed by Purdue's win over number 2 Alabama. That Alabama team is really good. They've got a lot of experience back, and they've got some high-end freshmen as well for Nate Oates and that team. But Trey Kaufman-Wren was really the best player on the floor, which is saying a lot in a matchup like that with Sears and a bunch of like All-American types. 26 points, 8 rebounds. Purdue only committed 3 turnovers for the entire game, and they got contributions from a lot of guys across the board, and they just keep doing it. 39 straight non-conference wins for Purdue, and 7 of those 39 are against top 10 competition.
C.J. Cox,
Yeah.
really good.
One major offer, and it was Purdue.
Typical Purdue fashion, right? A guy that was kind of off the radar, and they went out and said, you know what, they liked what he could bring to the table and thought that he was a good fit for what Purdue wants. And, one game, as I say all the time, does not a career make, but really good minutes for him. And Purdue does what Purdue does, right? Matt Painter continues to show that, here's a team that thought to be a 15 to 20 team in the rankings maybe, and that might have even been like a courtesy ranking, and then bada boom, now all of a sudden they're vaulted right into the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, you lose Caleb Swanigan, and then you're still really good. You lose Carson Edwards, and then you're still really good. You lose Jaden Ivey, and then you're still really good. And you lose Zach Edey, and you're still really good. I mean, this is just who they are. They've got a really special thing humming with that program right now. It's just.
By the way,
insane.
Zach Edey's off to a good start, right?
Yeah, he's been decent. Yeah, he's been good. No, he's been great. I think he's been even better than you would have hoped.
Right.
With what he had a huge game. What was that last week? 25, 10, and really, really big game. Indiana looked great against South Carolina. Look, South Carolina is not the level of Alabama. They're probably a fringe NCAA tournament team.
They got beat by North Florida.
I think really what you wanted to see was Indiana upgrade the talent, particularly in their backcourt.
And their 3-point shooting.
Yeah, last year, no offense to Gabe Cupps, but I mean, you're starting Gabe Cupps in games last year, and you needed a significant upgrade from that. And they've gotten it so far. Miles Rice and And Carlisle.
Miles Rice is a really good outside shooter.
Yeah, 35 points on just 19 shots, so they were efficient as well. They combined to go 5 and 9 for 3. And Indiana still has some chances. They don't play a loaded non-conference schedule, but they go to the Bahamas, and Gonzaga looks amazing. They could get Gonzaga. They could get Arizona. Oklahoma's a pretty good team. So Indiana will have a chance or two at a quality win. The South Carolina win is fine. I don't think that's like a feather in your cap type win.
It's not, but Derek, except for this. Indiana was, they had kind of an 8 to 10 point lead throughout the course of that game against South Carolina. And there have been Indiana teams of recent ilk that would have allowed a team to hang around and then maybe make a move late. Indiana late in that game said, all right, enough of this, and put it away, and ended up kind of pulling away in the last 4 minutes of the game. And that's what you want to see. You want to see a team that has progressed and has kind of that, okay, now we're going to really put our foot down on the accelerator mentality, and that's what they did.
The talent level is just so much better than what it was last year. And no offense to those guys, and they really fought. I mean, Cups seems like a great kid and really fought. And Trey Galloway's a really nice player too. But if Trey Galloway's like your second best player, you're in real trouble.
Right.
And so I think really the talent.
And he's on
upgrade,
minute restriction still, right?
Yeah, really the talent upgrade is what Indiana needed, and they've gotten it. And now those other guys can fit in better in roles that they can really thrive in. And I think I'm bullish on IU. I think IU is going to be really good. I do. And I don't know, maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid because we've been here before with IU where on paper they look like
think
this,
they're a
but
top.
I think they're going to be good.
They're a top, 12 to 15 team?
Yeah, which is good. I mean, that's a Sweet 16 team, right?
Yeah.
If you're kind of projecting it out. And, you would take that. With where Indiana's been the last 30 years, the Sweet 16 has basically been the ceiling, unfortunately, for them. And then Butler, I thought, got an important win. They had that loss to Austin Peay. And SMU's solid. I mean, SMU's probably going to be an NCAA tournament team. That's a good athletic program, by the way. Football-wise and basketball, they've been good.
ACC, man.
I mean, nobody thinks of – the only people of our age only think of SMU for the death penalty, right, with
Derek.
Eric Dickerson and Craig Erickson
SMU
and all
is
that.
probably going to keep either Miami or Clemson are going to get bounced out of the playoffs because of SMU.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So that was a good win for Butler to kind of move this thing forward here because they're going to have to. They need to. They've been kind of just hovering here with Thad Matta, which is fine. It's more solid ground than sinking.
SMU, by the way, is just kind of cool, isn't it?
I like the logo.
The color scheme and the logo's cool.
Mustang logo's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they had that very small window of relevance. They were almost like the UNLV of the 80s, right?
Yeah.
Even though I guess UNLV was also in the 80s for a chunk of that, but you get what I mean. So all in all, good week in college hoops. Pretty good week. And then Purdue's got Marquette tonight, which is going to be really tough.
You mentioned UNLV of the 80s. Can you pull up for me, please, the 1987 UNLV
I don't want
roster?
to. Yeah, I don't want
No, just go ahead. 1987 UNLV basketball. What's the over-under on number of players I can name?
I really don't care.
What-
Armin Gilliam's one.
What's your guess?
I don't
How many can I go with?
care. I think he can name 5.
5?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me know when you've got the roster up, and I will do my best here. You ready?
All right, here it is. It's up.
Go with Armand Gilliam.
Yeah.
I'll go with Gerald Patio.
Yep. Played in the league.
I'm going to go with Freddie Banks.
Freddie Banks. Okay. Senior guard.
I'm going to go with power forward Eldridge Hudson.
Edwards Hudson, yeah. You're naming all the seniors.
Okay. I'm going to go with Jarvis Bassnight.
Jarvis Bassnight. All right, you're at 5?
Mm-hmm.
Got to get one more.
Hold on.
Oh, boy.
Give me the
You're
first.
not going to get it.
Give me the first letter of the last name of a guy named David something. There was a Dave or
W.
A Dave. Huh?
W.
David Willard?
Yes. There you go. There's 6. But that was with a hint. So you got 5.5.
Okay, hold on.
You got 5.5.
Am I missing any others, though, that are big that I should have known?
No. You got all their frontline players. All the other guys are bench guys.
That team was
And nobody else had played in the league.
They lost to Indiana. Is it you have the schedule there?
Do we have to? Okay, yes, I have the schedule here.
97 and 93.
Yeah. Do you know who their other loss was that year?
I do. Hold on.
It was not. I mean, it was a good team.
The 90 team only had one loss, and it was to Arkansas. So the 87 team, I thought it was was it a conference game?
No.
Man, I should know this.
No, because they were in the Pacific Coast or whatever became the WCC, I think.
Give me the first letter. Is that going to give it away?
It might. Oh.
Did Ohio State beat them?
No, Oklahoma.
Okay. Yeah,
Oklahoma
that was a good team.
beat
That
'em
Oklahoma
by
team.
1 point, and that was on the road. That was
Stacey
at
King,
Oklahoma.
Mookie Blaylock. That was a good team.
I mean, everybody else here, they just freaking creamed. Yeah. Like New Mexico State, UC Santa Barbara. I mean, they just wiped the floor
Iowa.
with everybody.
They beat Iowa in the regional finals, right?
They beat
to the Final
Iowa by 3 points. Do you know where the game was played? You know where their regional was?
Long Beach Arena.
No, but you're in the right area of the country. Well, I mean, you're on the right coast.
Seattle.
Yeah, Kingdom. Kingdom was where the regional was. It's funny. Like, I remember when Indiana went in 92 and they beat up on UCLA. It was in the pit, right?
Yeah.
New Mexico?
That's
Yeah,
right.
you remember. But now you can't, because they threw black paint over the whole thing. The NCAA is
don't
so
even get me
stupid.
started.
So
It
stupid.
Infuriates me.
I will be so upset if they do the same thing with the college football playoff neutral fields. I will be so upset if they just make them like these neutral-looking, whatevers. Ugh. Speaking of the college football playoff, Indiana was on bye, but their biggest game ever. I mean, is it safe? This is the biggest game in India, right? Outside of the Rose Bowl, maybe, against USC?
Yeah, I think
biggest
it's
game in
probably,
IU history?
Yeah.
Biggest regular season game in
It
IU
is.
history. They're a 12-point dog. They haven't beaten Ohio State since 88, 28-game losing skid. With a close loss,
Derek,
I really don't know how they don't get in. I mean, they would have to drop significantly in the rankings tonight.
you could make the argument that the Michigan State game in '87 was as big because that was a guaranteed
Rose
Big
Bowl
Ten
game, yeah.
championship game. This is a little different, but yes.
But they
when you
weren't
consider-
contending for a national championship that year.
Correct.
Whereas technically they are right now.
And listen, I think at this point they're fifth in the
Yeah.
college football rankings, and I know that I'm a moron. I don't really understand how it works out in terms of the seeding and then where you're actually placed. And there's so many games you have to be played.
Well, they do a straight ranking, and then the top 4 conference champions get 1 through 4. So that's why Indiana goes down a slot or 2.
Unless they win the Big Ten, right?
Unless they win the Big Ten, then they'll be 1 probably. Yeah.
But either way, I think they're in, partially because the SEC is going to cannibalize itself.
You would think.
I mean,
Yeah.
If Georgia loses another game or Tennessee loses another game, they're out, right? I mean, they just
think.
you can't. They have 3 losses. Now they're going to do everything they can to get 6-loss LSU in there. They just refuse to drop them out of the rankings.
Ole
I don't know
Miss.
why.
Yeah.
But either way, kidding aside, barring a complete wheels-off disaster, because there is a little bit of a stigma about Indiana, partially because it's Indiana. If Indiana right now at 10-0 was Michigan or Iowa,
They'd be number 2, yeah.
they'd have a little more love. But people are like, and it is true that everything possible has fallen their way this year. Their schedule's been favorable. They got Washington and Michigan on down years for those, relatively for those teams. But they've beaten everybody handily. Indiana has not fared any worse with their schedule than what an Ohio State or a Michigan, a prime Michigan, et cetera, would have done. Having said all that, there is still that stigma. So if Indiana goes out and lays a complete egg against Ohio State and gets completely blown off the field, people are going to go, see, we told you. We told you. But I don't think it's going to happen.
Me neither.
Are they going to win? I don't know. But I don't think they're going to get blown off the field. So long as they are respectable in that game, they're in. Because they ain't going to lose to Purdue.
No. 31-21. If they lose 31-21
They're
in
in.
Columbus, they should be in.
They're in.
I really do.
Okay, what about 48-17?
Yeah, see, that's going to open the door, though, Jake, because Indiana has not played even a top 40. It's not just ranked teams. Like, Indiana has not played and beaten a top half
I understand.
Big
But
Ten
but they have controlled every game, though.
100%.
Other than the Michigan
I'm
game.
just giving you the
No, I
detractor
get it.
argument. My problem is that when people say, like I heard Ryan Russillo say this yesterday, well, I give Texas the benefit of the doubt because they played in the playoff last year. Michigan and Washington played in the playoff last year. Indiana beat both of them. I mean, last year, who cares about last year? Last year is completely irrelevant. This year is this year, and you've got to judge on this year. We can't just do this thing where we're just putting teams in based on who they are in hypothetical situations or on paper. Because then why even play the games? Like, just draw up the bracket on August 31st and have that be the college football playoff in December, right? At the end of the day, you have to earn your way in. And to me, Indiana with 1 loss, passing the eye test as they have, will have earned their way in as long as they don't get absolutely shellacked at Ohio State. But I don't even think the Ohio State offense is good enough to shellack Indiana. I don't know. Maybe that's a dangerous thing to say, and now they're going to turn around and lose 51-7.
Yeah,
but
they got some pretty good receivers.
I don't think that this Ohio State. If we're taking the last 10 Ohio State teams, I don't know if this one is one of the 3 or 4 best.
I was asked this question earlier today: who wins between Indiana and Notre Dame?
I mean, I think Indiana right now, because I think Indiana offensively can do. Notre Dame's defense is really, really good. But I think Indiana's defense is really good too. And I think they have more upside offensively. Notre Dame's offense is very pedestrian. It's a really pedestrian offense, but their defense is legit. I mean, they have one of the 4 or 5 best defenses in the country, even with the injuries that they've had.
Right. I mean, Notre Dame, I'll give them credit. They have obviously
they're killing people too.
They have long since proven that Northern Illinois game was a fluke, right?
Yeah, but why even put yourself in that? Like, it's such an inexplicable loss that I feel like they should be being penalized more than they are.
Right.
I think Notre Dame is helped by the fact that there are only 3 undefeated teams. I think that's if there were more undefeated teams, then Notre Dame would have a real problem.
And I will give, and you know me with Notre Dame, but I'll give Notre Dame this benefit of the doubt also. It's not Notre Dame's fault that they're scheduled this year. Some of the teams that you thought were going to be quality wins, I mean, A&M is obviously held up.
Yeah.
But like USC.
Yeah, at Florida State. Yeah.
Florida State,
but you wouldn't have expected Army to be any good, and Army suddenly, I mean, I don't know if that's, Army's not going to be a feather in your cap win if they win that game, but it'll be a decent win.
When is that?
This week, Yankee Stadium, and then they finish at USC. So those are Notre Dame's last 2. Whereas
if Notre Dame loses to Army, are they out?
Yeah. Notre Dame can't afford another loss. Yeah, they're out. They're definitely out at that point. And then, I mean, everything else still looks good for the Big Ten. To get 4 teams in, I mean, Penn State. That's the other thing that bothers me about the IU conversation is that the best thing about Penn State's resume is that they lost to Ohio State.
Right.
So if IU suddenly does it, suddenly IU's like disqualified from that. I mean, come on.
Penn State every year. Penn State's like Iowa every year. Either 9-0, big showdown with Ohio State. Oh, look, they're leading 13-10 in the third. What ended up happening?
No,
they lost 31-13.
Not a single team in the country benefited as much from playoff expansion as Penn State did.
Correct.
Because Penn State is the 11th best team in the country every year.
That's exactly right.
And so, guess what? There are 12 teams in the playoff, and if you're number 11, buddy, you are getting in the playoffs. So that's I think that's where I am with Penn State.
Let me ask you this, Derek. Who is the team? You get to pick one. Who is the team that might be on the fringe, but you're like, just keep them out of the party because I don't want them anywhere near the playoff because let them in and Katie bar the door?
They have some terrible losses. Like the Kentucky losses, that's a horrible loss. But Ole Miss is pretty loaded.
I'll say Alabama.
Loaded. Well, yeah, I mean, Alabama is, I think, maybe the easy answer. But, yeah.
Or Georgia.
You give me any of the – you know what? Have you watched – well, I mean, maybe you watched them play Clemson and they destroyed Clemson. When I've watched Georgia this year, Carson Beck is not any good.
Right.
So that's what kind of holds me back on Georgia. I mean, if he's going to throw 2 interceptions every game, that evens the levels of playing field.
Alabama's just so athletic.
Yeah. All those teams, though, Tennessee, Ole Miss. Like I understand the infatuation with the SEC. I get it. But at the end of the day, you still have to earn your way in. You can't just be placed into the playoff. That's what bothers me about the conversation.
Derek, how about this? Speaking of college athletics.
Yeah.
And we're going to do this on the other side, but I'll give you a teaser. And I've got notes to look at here. Does it look too bad if I'm just reading off the notes?
No, I don't think so.
The IU Indy volleyball team clinched their spot in the Horizon League tournament with a 3-2 victory over Northern Kentucky on Saturday. That completes a weekend sweep of the Norse, what they did. The Jaguars battled back from an opening set loss to claim a crucial win, put them in the tournament for the first time since the 2017 season. So how about the IU Indy women's volleyball team? Grace Purica had a total of 59 assists in the win. Jags are on their way to Dayton to face number 3 Cleveland State coming up this week. And then the Horizon League tournament as Wright State will host all competitors this week. So we wish them the best of luck. That just a start for the IU Indy Jags report, which we'll do in just a couple minutes.
Yeah, you're confusing Vince, and we don't want to confuse Vince because it's hard enough when Vince isn't confused to run this show. So, yes, we will break, and then we'll come back with the IU Indy Jags
Vince
report.
knew what I was doing.
And quick hits as well.
Vince is back there looking up more pictures of my colon, actually. He is. I sent him. You saw it said additional photos in the top. I sent those to Vince by request.
Corey and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service. But at our core, we're a family. Family owned, and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, we prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.
Welcome back to Query and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network. My name is Jake Query. That is Derek Schultz, and the logo right here says it all. Where's our Jaguar?
I don't know what happened. Oh, Rake took the IU Indy stuff out. So he has the scarf too? Okay.
Somebody stole my Jaguar.
Rake's not here today. So we're taping this right now, early Tuesday morning. Rake's not here, and we don't have any of our usual IU Indy swag on the table. Sorry. Table looks a little light.
Greg has a pet cat. I mean, the Rakestraw family has a cat that they rescued. Thank the Lord. This poor cat had been in the woods in Shannon's backyard up in a tree, and it came down, and Greg's family adopted it. So I know Greg is good with cats, but I don't appreciate him taking my Jaguar.
Yeah. We took James to the Cat Cafe on 96th Street.
The Cat Cafe?
Yeah, where you go in and you pay like $10, and you go in and you grab a coffee and pet all the cats. And they're all up for adoption.
You should get one.
Ashley's super allergic and not a cat person. I'm not really a cat person either. I'm just an animal person. I love just petting things.
There is a...
Actually, let's get that in post. I love petting things sounded... We'll get that 3, 2, 1. I'm not even a cat person. I'm just an animal person as well. I just love animals.
Okay. There's a semi-feral cat, I'm not going to say where, that I and another guy split time feeding. And we're very worried about the wintertime.
Yeah.
So
that cat's not crossing 38th Street, are they?
It's far north of that.
Okay, gotcha.
Speaking of cats, though, the Jags report from IU Indy. Keep in mind that tickets are always available at iuindyjags.com/tickets. Division I athletics right here in Central Indiana. Great venues, too. The Jungle's awesome. Of course, the Coliseum. They're soon going to have their own arena for IU Indy basketball.
Yeah, named after Jim Morris. Did you see?
Natatorium, yeah. Jim Morris, the
cool.
longtime civic leader for the city of Indianapolis, will be the namesake of said arena that's going to be on the location that used to be the U.S. Tennis Center. So right there next to the Natatorium, a world-renowned facility. Let's get to the rest of them here. Cross country. The IU Indy men's cross country team, 13th in the NCAA Great Lakes Regional Championship. 213 runners, and Nate Kaiser led a balanced group of Jags to the finish line. He finished 52nd overall. IU Indy women's cross country finished 26th overall at the NCAA Great Lakes Regional on Friday. Ellie Cates broke the program's 6K record with a time of 21 minutes, 11.6 seconds. That's pretty darn good, right?
Yeah, sounds good.
Very good. Obviously, it's a school record. Jaguars focus the indoor track season with the team schedule will be posted later this month. Men's basketball, Parker Sorrell's group, they had a tough one last night at Iowa State, but Iowa State's a top 10 team.
And one of the toughest places to play in the country.
And they've played well to this point, have the men's basketball team, by the way. Started the week by beating Goshen 97-55. That was last week, just about a week ago. Then the Jungle Charge was led by, you see it right here? Watching them?
Yeah, I'm watching.
Okay. 27 points for Paul Zelinskis. I have a hard time saying that.
Yeah, that's a hard one to say.
It is.
That's a hard one to say.
Zelinskis. But say it often because he had 27. Jags fell, by the way, to Eastern Michigan 74-71, but he had 25, did Paul again. Next for the Jags, they're going to be in Huntsville, Alabama. They have a tournament there taking on Coastal Carolina, South Carolina State, Alabama A&M, the alma mater of Dr. Eugene White, the all-time leading scorer in basketball at Alabama A&M at the time of his departure. Did you know that, Derek?
And didn't Mathis go there?
Robert Mathis, Alabama
yeah,
A&M.
Alabama A&M.
A lot of
right?
great players out
yeah.
of Alabama
yeah.
A&M. But again, men's basketball, the Jungle's awesome. And then, of course, a couple of games they play in the Coliseum as well. But a reminder, tickets always available at iuindyjags.com/tickets. Don't forget the women's side of things. Women's basketball fell just short Saturday night, 85-80 to Southern Illinois. Despite 37 points from Shania Nichols-Vanette, the Jags couldn't overcome a Saluki surge in the third quarter. IU Indy on the road this week. They'll be taking on Bradley. That's at noon on Thursday with the Braves. And then in swimming, IU men's and women's swimming and diving host their annual – what's that?
I said a lot of sports going on right now.
Yep, annual House of Champions this week, Thursday through Saturday, inside the natatorium. A dozen different schools from around the area will be there. Great opportunity to see great swimming, again, in a world-class venue. Easiest way to do all of this is to simply go to the website, iuindyjags.com/tickets for tickets, but simply to find the information on all of the different sports. No matter what sport your child might be interested in or you are a fan of, they've got it at IU Indy right there in downtown Indy to watch Division I.
I was over at 16 Tech on Thursday, so the president of Purdue, Mung Chang, went to get his hearing check. We have a new audiology center right in that area that has
audiology?
The food court. An amp, like hearing and APRC, APARC we're calling it.
What's that again?
Audiology, Accessible Precision Audiology Research Center.
Can you say that again?
Accessible.
I didn't hear you.
Precision Audiology Research Center at Purdue at 16 Tech.
Look at Derek.
And,
big words.
He had to jet. We took some photos and threw it up on social media and did all of that. And Luke Basso was in there eating lunch and having a meeting. He's always having meetings, right? I mean, Luke is like the ultimate shake
athletic
hands, kiss
director
babies
at
guy.
IUND,
Yeah,
right?
And he's got his red jacket on and the whole
Constant
deal.
energy.
And he's just the nicest guy. And he's like, "Hey, we got to get you and Jake back to a game." And I said, "Yeah, man, anytime. Midtown basketball."
Great
I'm down
energy,
for
great
Midtown
guy.
basketball.
Perfect for that department.
Perfect for that program, for that athletic program for sure. But always great running into
Ed
Luke.
too.
Ed's a great guy. I mean, Ed's been there 20 years probably.
Ed
right,
Holdaway, who's the sports
SID
information director.
Yeah, and Lauren's been great, who we've worked with on this deal with the sponsorship of the show. And we really appreciate them. Obviously, Greg Rakestraw has long ties with formerly IUPUI, now IU Indy, as being one of their radio or TV voices for many, many years. So, we appreciate, obviously, their support of the show. Let's get through our quick hits here. I was sad to see this, but it was time. Ball State moving on from Mike New.
Yeah.
Nearing completion
He had
of
a
his
very
season.
classy departing comment and statement, supporting Ball State and the players there.
Great guy, and he engineered the best season in program history, right? The COVID year. They were 7-1. They won the MAC. They won the only bowl game that the program's ever won. But outside of that year when they were 7-1, they were 33-62.
Yeah.
They were 20-42 in the MAC. I mean, it just
and you know
it
what?
wasn't good enough.
So many, and I'm not
so many close losses.
That's it. I mean,
just
how
over
many
and over
times
again.
did you see it where you're like, oh my gosh, they were like a possession away?
Every time I checked Ball State's score, it was like 31-28 and like 34-30 in overtime, and you're just like, gah.
Really close, yep.
But again, nice guy, great guy. Time to move. 9 years is enough. Time to move on to somebody else, and I feel like, given the administration there, and we've had President Merns on the show and all of that, they're gonna
new AD too.
Yeah, they're gonna figure out a way to get that one right. Congrats to DePaul, third straight year. You saw it right here on the ISC Sports Network. Tigers are keepers of the bell.
I picked Wabash in that.
Did you?
I've decided
Wabash had a nice season too.
Oh, yeah, 9-2, right?
Yeah.
I've decided that of those two, I'm a Wabash fan.
Really? See, I'm a DePaul guy. There are more people in my life that love DePaul.
See,
so I'm a DePaul guy.
When I was in college, my buddy Brad Fields went to Wabash, and so I went to the Monon Bell game, I think 4 years in a row with Fields, and so I was there on the Wabash side of things. I've just always kind of liked – I don't know. They're both great schools, obviously, but –
my introduction to – I don't know if I can say this on the air. I think I can. I'm going to try it anyway, and then we'll get it in post if it's too raunchy. My introduction to the DePaul-Wabash rivalry, I didn't know anything about it, and when I went to IU, there was a girl upstairs. We were sandwiched in between two all-girl floors at Right Quad at IU, which was amazing. And there was a girl that was upstairs that was dating a guy from DePaul, and he would come in and see her, and he had a car. And none of us had cars. So when he had the car, we'd pack like 7 people in the car to go anywhere, right? And he had a bumper sticker that said Wabash Swallows on it. And that was my inner – can I say that on there? Or is that too raunchy? Is that – like people know what that means, right? I mean, it's kind of like sucks is the same thing, right? It's just sucks is more acceptable, I guess. But that was my introduction into the DePaul Wabash rivalry, because I was like, what is Wabash? And somebody explained to me, no, actually, they really hate each other, and it's like the biggest rivalry in Indiana. It's even bigger than IU and Purdue. And that was my intro, that bumper sticker.
I'd like to thank the ISC Sports Network and those of you who have followed along for the 212 episodes of this program. I apologize that 213 is now in jeopardy. Cue the music and bring back Alex Trebek. But based on that, because Derek didn't necessarily understand whether or not that was, quote, too raunchy, I didn't know where the story was going. I thought maybe he might have hooked up with the girl from DePaul when they broke up. I didn't know where it was going.
No, somebody else upstairs on the third floor.
I thought maybe when they all caravaned to the Monon Bell game, maybe he met himself a co-ed from DePaul. Maybe he met someone at Wabash. Hell, I don't know.
Her name was Ann. Broke my heart later that year.
I didn't know where that was going. And then he decides to go ahead with the bumper sticker that whoever bought that car after that immediately had the bumper sticker, even if they were Wabash or DePaul or whatever person, right? Usually Derek should live by the rule that if you have to ask for permission, it probably means that permission would not be granted. So I apologize to those of you, in particular, like my buddy Rob Whitaker, who listens to this program with his son.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think of okay. Yeah, you're right.
So Nate, I apologize.
I meant the little birds.
Don't ask your dad.
The swallows, the little birds.
Yeah, okay.
Chirp, chirp.
Yeah, okay. That's
birdies.
exactly what you meant. That's exactly what you
they're
meant,
little
sure.
birds.
Okay.
But, for as buttoned up as Wabash and DePaul, I mean, two elite level universities, right? As buttoned up as those places are, that rivalry is raunchy.
Oh, I know.
Like, you go to the game and people are yelling things like you're in Cleveland or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great. Vince was our game director, so he's in the truck directing the game, and there was a post-game interview with Brett Dietz, who's the head coach at DePaul, and somebody comes into the background of the shot, a DePaul fan. He's got a giant shirt that says, in giant letters, F, four-letter word, Wabash. Giant letters on the word. I mean, it is... Oh, it's
Derek, two
prestigious places, but they're very raunchy. Yeah.
Let's get back to the clean part of the program. Vince, do you have the pictures from earlier today?
Little
That's
birdies.
the clean part of the
Chirp,
program,
chirp.
right? I mean, let's just go ahead and balance out
back
the
to the Queen Golans.
There's the All
right, there we go.
Fabulous, right? Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Look how pristine that is.
Oh, God.
There's.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, isn't it? I can get you wallet size if you want. Okay.
I don't want any wallet. There we go. You want some? We don't do any wallet sizes of this, buddy. This is 18 by 20s here. 18 by 20s for that one. We come back on the show, Chateau Kitchen's Buy It or Bull Bleep, and we will wrap this thing up mercifully.
Yeah, no
Episode
kidding.
212, Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
Hey, AC, which games we going to tonight?
You know we cover all sports in Central Indiana. Hop in, it's going to be a long night.
Bailey and Wood Mortgage Lender, proud partner of News 8 Sports Hummer.
Hey, AC,
Nice snap.
mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Back for a final time here on Corey
Literally.
and Schultz, ISC Sports Network. Well, it's been a good run, pal. I know our friendship will endure even if this show ends.
Oh, yeah.
I have no idea how much time we have left on the show, Vince, or Rake, if you guys want to give us about 6 minutes is good. That's plenty of time.
They mean 6 days.
That's plenty of
don't
time.
Come back next week.
Chateau Kitchens, our pals, home remodeling, anything on the interior of your home, Chateau Kitchens can help you, whether
What do you
it
think of these
be
glasses?
your basement.
Do I look too old in these glasses?
No, they're fine.
Do I look sexy in them?
I'm not going to comment on that. Whether it be your basement, which I've done, whether it be a kitchen, which I've done, whether it be a bathroom, which I've done. Basically, anything that Chateau Kitchens can do on the interior of your home, I have had done to my home.
Don't you have a shower with 2 shower heads?
Yeah, our master shower has 2 shower heads.
Do you pick one each day?
We only end up there's one that's clearly superior to the other, and that's the one that we use. So I don't know why we did the 2. Well, I mean, let's just keep the show where it is. Chateau Kitchens at Chateau Kitchens on Instagram and Facebook. ChateauKitchens.com for all of the great before and after pictures there at Chateau Kitchens, and they are the proud sponsors. I don't know how proud they are today of Buy It or Bold Bleep. Statement 1, and I fully understand that the Texans just won last night. The Colts will still contend in the AFC South. Buy it or Bold Bleep.
No, it's over. Bullshits. They got a 3-game lead.
Well, 3 games with a tiebreaker. You know what? I'm going to say,
and I don't mean that as a disrespect.
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes because I think the Colts can contend. I think they can get it close in the AFC South,
assuming that the Texans are not reeled by injury.
Let me look at the Texans.
If they stay healthy,
stretch.
the Texans have built themselves at this point. And I know last year the Texans took their foot. You know, I mean, it got close, right?
How did they lose to that Jets team? By the way,
yeah,
that was a really bad loss for them. Texans finishing stretch. Here it is.
Okay, I'll give you. Give me the game, and I'll tell you win or loss.
Titans.
Okay.
At Jaguars.
Okay.
Dolphins at home, maybe tricky. Here's tricky. At Chiefs and Baltimore at home. Colts don't have to play either of those teams. Okay. There you go. There's the 2-game lead. And then at the Titans again. So they still have 2 games left against
So let's
Tennessee.
say they have 3 losses left in them. And what are they? Where are they right now?
They're 7-4. So they're 2 games. Yeah,
so
three,
they would
3 losses would be 10-7, and the Colts are probably going to lose twice more.
And the Texans
and they'd
would
be
have
both
the
10-7. They have that. Okay, but contend is not. I didn't say the Colts will win the AFC South. I said contend. Buy it. Colts will make the AFC South race. I think interesting because the finishing stretch is so bad.
I'm splitting a hair here.
Okay, well, are you new to Buy It or Bold Bleep? We've done this 212 times here on the show.
Not
so
213.
It's not splitting hairs. It's just you have to use your listening ears and listen to what the sentence is.
Is that part of the audiology?
The Colts will still contend in the AFC South. Contend. Not win. Contend.
You're all fired up over this.
Well, I mean, you're knocking me. I put a lot of time into prepping this. Not only all the sports topics that we talk about, but the issues that we discuss on the show. It's all
like
part of this
health
rundown.
issues?
Yes.
We should take a look again at my
like
colon.
your healthy colon. Statement 2, with as bad as the East looks right now, the Pacers still have no excuse to be in the play-in. So 6 or better in the East.
I think once they get help, I think they're going to be okay.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so.
Yeah. So what's the question? You said
put on your listening ears.
Okay.
With as bad as the East looks, the Pacers have no excuse to be in the play-in round. Buy it or Bold Bleep.
You mean to fall into the play-in round? Okay.
They need to be 6 or better.
I would agree with that, and I think they will
so
be.
You buy it. Okay.
Although that effort in the opening game of the in-season tournament, I know they're calling
it was awful against Miami. They were terrible.
They
weren't even interested in being there.
Correct. I mean, the number of lazy passes, and I don't know what was going on.
Brutal game.
They turned it around again 2 nights later, but that game Friday night was
it
rough.
felt like it was a Wednesday night in February or something. You know what I mean? Like they were just out of it. And this recent stretch, look, I know they've lost to some bad teams. Toronto's not a great team, but
here's my one complaint, Derek.
Second game on the road of a Sega Baba. I mean, it's a really tough stretch.
I think it's super cool that they printed Boom Baby on the court.
Yeah.
But why did they print it on the court in a spot that then was covered up by chairs?
Yeah, I don't know.
Put it on the spot on the court where you can see it.
I
It's
agree.
like a curse.
I agree. Final statement. ESPN will ruin Inside the NBA. Buy it or Bold Bleep.
I'll buy that because they'll insist on Stephen A. Smith or somebody joining it.
You know what, though? Somebody, I think it was it Kevin Bowen? Somebody I heard this morning I think it was Kevin and Andy were talking about this. And he said, or maybe Andy said that, well, they've left McAfee alone. And
that's true.
You're kind of right. I mean, ESPN hasn't forced them to take on Schefter or anybody on that show, right? I mean, he talks to Schefter. So maybe they'll just leave it alone.
Well, I heard that basically the show's being leased to them. So,
they traded it for Big 12 games or something. Yeah. It's a very weird deal.
By the way,
I'm just glad it'll continue because
speaking of television, congratulations to Adam Alexander, who is staying on the NASCAR side of things. There was a lot of discussion that perhaps he would come over to the IndyCar side
30 seconds.
because he'd been with Fox. He has inked a 10-race deal for the races in NASCAR that will air via TNT on TNT and Amazon, and then he'll do Xfinity as well, like he's done previously.
Jake's classmate in North Central. Thanks also to Hoagies and Hops, Chili Water Tap Room, Chateau Kitchens, Bailey and Wood Financial Group, and IUND Athletics.
Chili Water.
We are leaving. Goodbye. See you next time.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service. But at our core, we're a family. Family owned and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, we prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.